Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. I'm still reeling after that fight between Michael Hunter and Cassius Chaney, which Michael Hunter won against what was effectively a standing heavy bag. 100-90, 10-round performance for Hunter to take the WBA gold title. But it wasn't Hunter's performance that was the talking point, and we'll come to that a little bit later. But we have to focus on the lack of a performance from Cassius Chaney. He's basically just dug his own grave here for his career and then thrown himself in because it was so wildly bizarre and pathetic. The performance. Sure, we've seen before against George Arias, he didn't throw enough punches and ultimately let a win slip away as Arias outpointed him. But this fight against Hunter was that and more. It was just that performance on steroids. Right from the get-go, all we had was Cassius Chaney putting his hands up, high guard, and then just letting Michael Hunter just abuse him to the body. I don't know what he thought the strategy... it's hard to say what the strategy was beyond Cassius Chaney putting his hands up and allowing himself to get hit, because that's what we saw. He was just getting absolutely battered and bullied to the body and barely throwing any... He was inviting Michael Hunter in, hands up, basically inviting him to hit him. And then effectively, he, most of the time, did not even look for counters. He would sort of go back to the ropes and say, hey, buddy, come on in. Have dinner. It's time to feast, because Michael Hunter was like, okay, well, I'll take the invitation. And this was just round after round after round. And it was like, well, all you're doing is allowing Michael Hunter to slowly chop the tree down. And there were points in the fight where he would throw the odd counter. I mean, I think I can count the number of right hands that he threw with aggression, maybe on one hand alone. And there was only one or two that really hit, but none of them affected Hunter. Did he think Michael Hunter was going to come in and, basically, was it the Homer Simpson strategy, where he was just going to allow himself to get hit and hit and hit and hit some more, and eventually the other guy would tire and he'd be able to take over? I mean, it's hard to know, because he didn't work the jab, he didn't use his height and his reach, he gave it all up and just said, come on in, buddy, because I need to be abused to the body, because I want to be, pissing blood for the next 3 weeks, because I don't mind getting absolutely battered and bruised. I don't mind getting absolutely, it was just bizarre. Cassius Chaney effectively ended his own career at a certain level. I mean, you could argue that he may end up being out of Don King's stable. And, I mean, on the strength of that performance, who's going to want to pick him up? Who's going to want to see him fight? Who is going to go, yeah, that's the guy I need in my stable? Someone who doesn't throw any punches. And the thing is, we know he's got talent. We know he's got some pop. He has, put on a decent performance previously on a number of occasions. And see, the thing is, this wasn't so much about, and I know there'll probably be some Michael Hunter fanboys coming in here saying Hunter outclassed him. You can't even put it down to that, because he just effectively gave up everything at the start. And it wasn't down to what Hunter was doing. He just put the high guard up and let himself get hit. That was a strategy, and it played out for 10 rounds. At least this time he didn't put his hand up as he did in the Arias fight and think that he'd won. I don't know, even in the 12th round, didn't even go for it. But he should have known, if he was going to allow himself to get absolutely abused to the body, that was going to take something out of him. If he was thinking, I'm going to come on strong, as he did in the Bryan fight, he was, had some sort of lackluster rounds early on, it was a bit back and forth with Trevor Bryan, and then finally started to take over and dominate and took him out. But this was not that. This was basically, I'm not even really going to throw any punches. You're going to basically hit me a lot, and most of the time I'm going to let you, and I'm not even going to throw anything back. The mind boggles. I can't believe what I've seen. He's basically just ended his own career through sheer haplessness. I mean, if he comes out and says he was injured or whatever, he was trying to maintain his own... I mean, it almost doesn't matter, because what he did there was so bad, it's not even funny. It's just tragic. A guy who legitimately, if he'd come out, and I mean, it'd be a different story if he came out, tried to put it on Hunter in the first 3, 4, 5 rounds, gassed, and then, ultimately got dominated or something like that. This wasn't that. He didn't go out on a shield. There was no shield. He didn't even have anything to, a sword to fight with. Nothing at all. His hands were not weapons for the majority of that fight. He was just sort of putting the hands up saying, yep, just abuse me to the body. So that makes it so hard to assess Michael Hunter's performance, because Hunter went in there and basically was like, if this is all you're going to give me and going to let me, hit you to the body and repeatedly, I'll do that. So Hunter just said, yes, please. And just had several helpings at any opportunity he basically wanted. So it's really hard to sort of grade Hunter's performance because the opponent in Cheney was so ridiculously poor. I mean, I think there's probably a lot of us who've paid for this card probably for that one fight. No offense, Adrian Broner. And you're just like, what? What the hell was that? So strange. And Hunter, I think he'll be better for the rounds. It's some good activity. At least Cheney was durable. Certainly took, what was it? A couple of hundred shots to the body? More? I don't know. I mean, that might be the most body shots I've ever seen landed in a fight. Seriously. It was a lot. So Hunter did what he had to do. So it's really hard to know where he's at or if he's back or what we can take from that, because there was such a non-performance from Cheney. It was literally a guy against a walking heavy bag. It was, and that's what it was. It wasn't a sparring session because one guy wasn't fighting. He was just taking punishment. It was almost like a challenge to go, yeah, I can take this much punishment, just keep bringing it. So, for Hunter, it's onwards and upwards. They were saying on the broadcast he's signed with King, so, you go into that vortex, who knows what you're going to get. Maybe he'll be fed Trevor Bryan. That's normally what King likes to do, is sort of recycle heavyweights. Maybe he'll be given Berman Stavern all of a sudden, because this was for the WBA gold title, as it were. Will the Saudis work with Don King? Michael Hunter wants to be back in the world title sort of picture, in that mix with legitimate contenders. You had Cassius Chaney, who was sort of a fringe contender at best, maybe top 30-ish, somewhere there or thereabouts. On the strength of that wasn't a top 30 guy in the ring. That was just absolutely dross, weirdness personified. I don't know what the hell he thought he was doing, but he's now added to my list of fighters with Senad Gashi and a couple of others that I hope to never see again, because that was just so bad. So bad. Hunter, he moves on. Hard to know what really to take from it, because he did what he should do. He just absolutely let his hands go to the body, and at least Cheney's body wasn't made of candle wax. So, it is what it is. Hunter moves on. Hopefully he's not out for another year now, or more. Hopefully he's in something and meaningful, or at least back out in 2 or 3 months on a King card or something like that, just to maintain the activity, keep a bit of momentum, try to build something now, because he's been far too inactive and he needs the rounds. He needs some fights to really sort of get himself back in the shop window for anything meaningful. The WBA gold title, whoopee, that means nothing. But a win is a win is a win. So Michael Hunter moves on. What do you make of it all? Drop a comment, loud and often. Hit like, hit subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out.